I was a fool. I really was a big fool. If regrets had hands, they would have strangled me by now. If they had legs, they would have kicked me until my ribs cracked. But regrets don't have hands or legs. They only have a voice. A cruel, taunting voice that whispers in my ears at night, reminding me of the home I traded for hell. Once upon a time, I had peace. Not just any peace, but the kind of peace that wraps around you like a warm blanket on a cold Harmattan morning. I had a husband, Chike, who loved me the way every woman dreams of being loved. He was soft-spoken, gentle and patient, the kind of man who would wake up before dawn to pack the children's lunch, iron my clothes, and still kiss me goodbye before heading to work. But I called him weak. I wanted more. I wanted fire. I wanted the kind of man that made my heart race, not from love, but from fear of what he might do next. A man who could throw a punch, raise his voice, and remind me of who was in charge. And so I ruined everything with my own hands. It started slowly, like a tiny crack on a glass cup, barely visible but spreading with time. I stopped laughing at his jokes. I started rolling my eyes whenever he spoke. I sighed too loudly when he offered to help with house chores. I called him a woman. I said he was not a real man. Chike tried. He really tried. He asked me what was wrong. He asked me what I wanted. But how could I tell him that I wanted him to be someone else? How could I tell him that I wanted danger instead of safety? Then I met Ikenna, and I thought I had finally found what I was looking for. I was a fool, a big fool, and the price I paid for my foolishness is a price I'm still paying to this day. The first time I saw Ikenna, I felt something I never felt with Chike: excitement, danger, power. He walked like he owned the world, shoulders broad, voice deep and commanding. When he entered a room, conversations paused and eyes followed him. He had that presence, the kind of man who didn't need to ask for respect because it was given to him freely. Chike never had that. I met Ikenna at a friend's party, and from the moment he looked at me, I felt it. The spark I had been craving. He didn't smile politely like Chike, he smirked like he already knew I wanted him. And maybe I did. Your husband let you come out alone? His voice was rich, laced with amusement. I laughed, flipping my hair. He trusts me. Trust is for fools, he said. A real man doesn't trust, he takes charge. That night, I let myself imagine a different life. A life with a man who wasn't afraid to take what he wanted. A man who wouldn't kneel to tie our son's shoelaces in public. A man who didn't ask, he demanded. Ikenna pursued me like a hunter after prey. He sent gifts, expensive perfumes, gold jewelry, things Chike never bought for me. He whispered things in my ears that made my skin tingle. He made me feel wanted, desired, like I was more than just a mother, more than just a wife waiting at home. And so I did what I thought would make me happy. I walked away from my home. I told Chike I was done. I packed my bags, left my children and followed Ikenna, believing I was stepping into a better life. I thought I had found a real man. I had no idea I was walking into a nightmare. The first time Ikenna hit me, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because my brain refused to believe what had just happened. It was over something small. I had forgotten to add salt to the stew. I thought he was joking when he dropped his spoon and looked at me like I had committed a crime. Are you stupid? His voice was low, controlled, but there was something dangerous underneath. I frowned. It's just salt, Ikenna. You can add more. The slap came so fast I didn't see it. 1 second I was standing, and the next I was on the floor, my cheek burning like fire. For a moment there was silence. Even the air in the room felt frozen. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then Ikenna sighed, rubbing his forehead like he was the one in pain. See what you made me do? His tone was soft now, almost apologetic. Ebere, you have to learn how to respect me. I don't like repeating myself. I should have left that night. I should have picked up my bag and run, but I didn't. Instead, I nodded like a fool. I'm sorry. And just like that, he smiled and pulled me into his arms. That's my good girl. Now go and bring me another plate. That night, I lay beside him, my cheek still stinging, my mind racing. But I told myself it wasn't a big deal. All men get angry sometimes. At least he wasn't like Chike, always swallowing his emotions. Always soft. I closed my eyes and whispered a lie to myself. This is love. But deep down, something cold settled in my stomach, warning me that this was just the beginning. And I was right, because the first slap was never the last. I became an expert in silence. I learned to measure Ekena's moods by the way he walked into the house. If his steps were heavy, I knew I had to be invisible. If he sighed before speaking, I braced myself. If his eyes were bloodshot, I prayed. Ekena was not the man I thought I had fallen for. He was fire, yes, but the kind that burned everything in its path. His love was sharp like a knife, carving me into something smaller, weaker. The second slap came when I forgot to lock the front door, the third because I laughed too loudly on the phone with a friend, the fourth because I stayed too long at the market. After that, I stopped counting. My body became a map of pain, my skin a diary of bruises. My world shrank into a routine of fear. Wake up, clean, cook, and make sure nothing set him off. And when he hurt me, he always apologized. Always. See what you made me do? You know I love you, Ebere. If you just listen, this wouldn't happen. And I believed him. Or maybe I just wanted to believe him. Because admitting that I had destroyed my own life was too painful. The worst part? I had no one to run to. Chike was gone. I had burned that bridge. My friends, the same ones who cheered when I left my soft husband, had distanced themselves. My pride wouldn't let me call my mother. So I stayed. I stayed, hoping things would get better, hoping Ekena would wake up one day and be the man I had imagined him to be. But the day I knew I was truly trapped was the day he hit me in public. No shame, no fear, just a hard slap in the middle of the road because I greeted a male neighbor too warmly. People saw, they stared, and then they looked away. Nobody helped. Nobody said a word. And that was when I understood. I was alone. Completely alone. The day I finally left Ekena, I was half dead. It was a Sunday morning. The sun was shining. Birds were singing. The world was moving as if nothing was wrong. But inside our house, I lay on the cold floor, blood dripping from my nose, my ribs aching with every breath. Ekena had snapped over something foolish. I couldn't even remember what. Maybe my food was too salty this time. Maybe I had smiled at the wrong person. It didn't matter. He beat me worse than ever before, then walked out, leaving me gasping like a fish pulled from water. And in that moment, something inside me broke. I thought about Chike. I thought about my children. I thought about the home I had thrown away with my own hands. And I crawled. I crawled to the door, out into the street, and I kept crawling until a stranger helped me into a taxi. I whispered one word, Chike. It took me 3 hours to get to his house. My hands shook as I knocked on the door, my heart pounding. Would he even open for me? Would he send me away? When the door finally opened, the sight before me stole my breath. Chike stood there, looking just as I remembered, calm, gentle, kind. But beside him was another woman, a woman with warm eyes holding a baby in her arms. A baby that wasn't mine. I swallowed hard. My throat felt like sandpaper. Chike. His face changed. Shock, pity, anger all at once. Then his voice, still as soft as ever. Ebere, what happened to you? I wanted to cry, to beg, to tell him I was sorry. But it was too late. The look in his eyes told me everything. He had moved on. He had found peace with a woman who saw his worth. And I had lost everything. I was a fool. I really was a big fool. And now I had to live with it.